Well, I'm talking with Dr. Nevil Speer, who's with Western Kentucky University, and we're at the NIAA Antibiotics Conference and talking about antimicrobial resistance and some of the issues associated with that and how we might work as an industry to bridge some of the gaps between how various groups perceive this issue. And Dr. Speer, I was hoping you could just help maybe boil down a few of the key points. And there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of very high-level scientific information and so on that's come through so far in this conference. But I wonder if you could boil down a few key points that you'll take home from this part of the session.
Well, if there's one issue I think you have to take home, and that's the issue of complexity. I mean, that's the overriding theme throughout this in the last day and a half. However you want to address the use of antibiotics and then potential development of resistance from a public health or a human health side, from an animal health side, and then even just from the issue of consumers and marketing. It's all very complex, and there are no simple answers. And so if that's the single thing that probably someone should go home with, it's that.
It strikes me that when we have a lot of really well-educated, we've got a lot of scientists, veterinarians, academics in the room discussing this, and it's difficult for them to really get their arms around the issue, that communicating it to consumers and to retailers or to politicians is going to be especially difficult.
Yeah, I think that's right. I told someone this afternoon as we watched sort of the back and forth and the bantering of scientists about the science of resistance, and that we can't get our arms around that. And then if you begin to try to explain that to consumers, their first response, anyone who doesn't have time, is just to hunker down, that it's just bad and we're just going to push away. And that's a natural sort of emotional response, but one that we should be expectant of.
Is the industry at least taking some positive steps to build more assurances, maybe within some of the new policies through FDA and so on, as to how antibiotics will be used in livestock production, how the veterinarians will be involved? Do you see these as steps that will help to kind of build some assurances back to the general public?
Yeah, I think we're taking those steps to build the assurance back to the general public. We're also taking those steps just to protect antibiotics and the use of animal health for ourselves. We understand that resistance occurs, and we need to be judicious just for that very sake. And we also understand that the pipeline of development of new antibiotics coming the other way is slowing down, so therefore the incentive to be even that much more careful exists for us.
And it seemed like there was a pretty good consensus on that point, and a willingness on the part of veterinarians and industry people here within this meeting to really take a good hard look at some of these uses and make sure that we're doing the right thing.
That's absolutely right. I mean, everywhere you look across every class of drugs, we have to ask the question, are we using it right in the most judicious manner? And even that's an issue, right? What does judicious mean, and how do we do that? But going forward, yeah, I think, and that's really the purpose of this symposium, is how can we generate conversation, generate answers and solutions from a One Health perspective going forward. And I hope if on one hand take away complexity, on the other hand I hope we also take away this is a stepping stone towards something better, bigger, in driving a conversation across all these realms.